What's up, guys? It's Patrick from WP Builder Helper, and in today's video we're talking about the only thing that matters, and that's Oxygen. Oxygen's just launched a brand new builder, and you could almost argue that this is literally the builder that has divided the community more so than any other builder that has ever come out from any other company in terms of the page builder market. This builder has some interesting stuff, and I'm going to go over what I think about it, and I'm also going to go over, what's going on with the community. So let's just dive right in. If you didn't know, Oxygen basically released this, and it is a brand new builder, and the builder's name is Breakdance. Now, I'm not going to go over the builder, Paul Charlton from his videos. He does a much better job of doing that than I do, so it would be much better for you to take and go watch his video. So I'm going to link that in the description. I'm also going to link a couple of other things in the description so that we can take and we can kind of look at it together and go over what I think about these different things. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about Breakdance is, what does this mean for Oxygen? So you can definitely say that I've been one of the people who, when this first came out, I was totally against it. I jumped on the bandwagon real quick, and I was deeply disappointed that this was out and that Oxygen was kind of, I'm not going to say taking a nosedive, because it wasn't taking a nosedive. But there's some things to be concerned with this, and there's things that I think I also over-exaggerated. In all honesty, I think that the truth with this builder is going to be somewhere in between. It's not a perfect solution by any means, and I don't think the Oxygen community, at least a very big part of the Oxygen community, cares for it. But there's other people who are fine with it, and they think it's good that Oxygen's building a new product. And I don't think that either party is right or wrong. I think they both have valid points. So let's go over what's going on with this. I'm going to go to a permaslug, so let's look at that first. So let's jump into permaslug. So permaslug, if you don't know, actually had basically a conversation with Oxygen, or Lewis from Oxygen, who actually makes Oxygen. He had a conversation with it. He was kind of going over it, and then at some point in his video, I think right about here, he jumps on. I thought it would be interesting to take and just listen and kind of go through it, and then as we go through it, I'm going to kind of give you my feedback for what I think. So let's take a look and see what's going on with this.
And then I can see the chat. Perfect. Okay, cool. I'm happy to answer basically every single question. But first I have a question for you guys. Do I need a haircut?
No.
So let's turn off closed captioning. That's the first thing. I don't want to watch closed captioning.
I was hoping not to show my face in public until I get a haircut this afternoon.
I want to say something about this. Jonathan, who does the interviewing in this, does a very good job. I've already watched this all the way through, and Jonathan basically went in and asked him all the questions that I could think about asking him. So I commend Jonathan for taking and asking even some questions that I was like, is he going to blow up at him for asking that? But he didn't, and once again, I give Jonathan some props. That was an excellent interview in terms of what I could say. Jonathan does a great job interviewing him. I do agree with some of the other comments that are down below, though. He does seem a little bit all over the place, but let's go through this regardless, and let's kind of get our opinion.
This afternoon, I figured I have to go to these videos. But considering we're getting absolutely reamed in the comments, I want to just come on and do it immediately.
Yeah.
You were going to get reamed no matter what you did. I think you're aware of that, and I think you knew that. There's no way that you developed this product for 3 years and you don't get reamed. Especially in the shadows, the way you did it. I think people felt a little bit backstabbed. I don't think that it's our right to know, and I agree with some people who are out there and saying that it's entitlement, like we're entitled to know what your business does. I think that's 100% correct. We aren't entitled to know, but I think you still have people's feelings to account for. And some people kind of wear their feelings on their sleeve a little bit more than others. And I think that those people were really, really hurt by Breakdance coming out. Mainly because of things later on in this video, which we're going to talk about, but I think you knew this was going to happen. You already ran into issues with pricing, and you mentioned that later on, so let's keep going.
Yeah, totally. So that's one thing I appreciate about you, is always jumping out in front of the bus, so to speak. And it's been a long time. So I said earlier, I think before you joined, that the last time I kind of spoke to you was like 2019. And so it makes sense that you've been working on this project for about 3 years now, as that's kind of the timeline of when you sort of fell off.
Basically, I handed it off to Elijah.
Fell off is a misstatement about Oxygen. Regardless of what you think, it's in my humble opinion that Lewis is very, very smart. There's no doubt that he's a smart guy. Do I think he has the best marketing sense? No, I don't. Not after watching this video and not after watching this launch. I don't. But let's not disagree. He built Oxygen from the ground up, at least to start, and it was very good. And he's built Breakdance now, and from what I see, I'm impressed by Breakdance as a whole. I like Breakdance. But the launch of this was botched from the beginning. You cannot, I'm sorry, I thought Elementor 3.0 was a dumpster fire. This is a dumpster fire.
Right when we shipped 3.0, and it's been in capable hands since then, so he's just going to continue running and managing Oxygen. Really, as we always have. It seems like there are a few main concerns people have. It seems like one of them is, why is this not an update to Oxygen? And two, what is going to happen to Oxygen?
No, that's not one of the main concerns. That is the biggest concern. Because as someone who has put thousands upon thousands of dollars into Oxygen, and that's not me, so keep in mind, that's not me. That's a lot of the community. They are shit scared that you just basically shit on their product. Let me tell you something, if he pulled the rug out under Oxygen today, right now, the lifetime owners of it would probably freak out. And I understand where he's coming from with that, because I think he is stuck between a rock and a hard spot, and we'll talk about that later. But they would flip out. They would say, I had this product for 5 years, and now I can't do anything with it. What the hell? And that's part of the issue with lifetime deals. When you're somebody who purchased those a lot, you get to know that lifetime deals don't necessarily mean your lifetime. They mean the product's lifetime. So if Oxygen closes shop tomorrow, I mean, it is what it is. You paid your $99, $250, $150, whatever it was, and hopefully you got some value out of it. I would think that you did, and hopefully you did, because that, from what the community is saying, I think is right. The entitlement of paying $99 and to keep getting stuff out of it is crazy. Crazy. But I've got something with that too. Let's keep watching.
So firstly, nothing's going to happen to Oxygen. We're not going to change anything.
Newsflash, he says something at the very, I don't know, middle of this, where that's not the truth. Nothing is going to happen to Oxygen right now, but he kind of backs up a little bit towards the middle. Let's keep going.
The thing about the pace of updates, the support, all the lifetime licenses are going to continue to get honored. I don't know if people actually believe me when I say that, though.
Why would we believe you when you took the money? I mean, look, once again, this is one of the complaints, but you took the money that Oxygen was making, and it's your right. You're a CEO. You can do whatever the fuck you want with it. You could snort coke off a hooker's ass. It does not matter. But the point is that here's the problem that people don't seem to understand. If you had took the money that you used to develop Breakdance 300,000, 400,000, maybe it was 50,000. I don't fucking know. It doesn't even fucking matter. If you had taken it and you dumped it in Oxygen, Oxygen would be a lot further ahead than 2 developers. That's what the general public is saying. If you dump more money into it, it would be better off than it is right now today. I get it though. I get where you're coming from. Not passing judgment. That's what the people are saying. That's what they're trying to get across.
I guess really the only way we can prove it is with time. However, I think Oxygen is going to continue to sell well. Yeah, Kyle says I need a PR consultant. Look, we don't do...
I don't think Oxygen's going to take a nosedive because of this, but to be realistic, this marketing, there's both good and bad marketing, and sometimes bad marketing can generate good press. Not always, but sometimes it works out in your favor, and other times it's just an actual shit show, and it sends part of your market share to other builders. And honestly, that's what I posted when I was first blown up about this, and I don't take that back. I think you're going to send some of your 30,000 people to other builders. Honestly, I think that's what's going to happen. And to the Oxygen community, they've already said, c'est la vie. Who the hell gives a crap if those 30, you know, those 1,000 people, 2,000, 3,000 people even leave? We don't care. And that's whatever. I mean, you could say what you want, but when you're a small builder, every person matters.
PR, I'm just going to give, you know, the honest answers. And if people don't like it, they don't like it. But I think some of the people are going to like it.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me hide these questions so I don't get sidetracked by those.
So easy. You gotta be really careful about that. And some people are gonna completely derail you and be dicks. So just
Okay. I'm not. This is my first time doing a live stream. I'll answer all the questions in a little bit.
Yeah.
Jonathan, what questions do you have for me?
Yeah. So I think one of the main things that I kind of think I already know how you'll answer is primarily around the fact that of course I bought Oxygen back in like 1.2 or something. So I distinctly remember the transition that took place from 1.43, I think it was, into 2.0. And when we kind of had the backwards compatibility issue, but at that time, it was such a drastic change, including introducing the Flexbox engine and updated UI and that sort of thing, that it didn't matter. I was like, I'm willing to make that migration. So I guess my main question is around like, why the decision was made to have an entirely new builder instead of something like a fork and a total rewrite of Oxygen. Because I asked that earlier in chat, and I don't know if you were here, but the consensus was people would have, they said they would have gladly switched to an annual payment and migrated to Oxygen, let's say 5.0, even with the understanding that there was a lack of backwards compatibility. So maybe if you can touch on why that decision was made.
Yeah, a couple of reasons. I don't really believe people are okay with breaking backwards compatibility.
You know what they're really not okay with? A brand new builder. That's what they're really not okay with. Regardless of what market you're aiming for, they're not okay with that.
When we broke backwards compatibility for 1.43 to 2.0 and had very few users, we got absolutely reamed. I mean, now we have over 30,000 customers. It's probably installed on, over 100,000 websites live. We can't break backwards compatibility. And there are a number, and we can't take away features, right?
I mean, I agree with him to a certain point. You can't go backwards when you're an established builder. People start saying, like, what the fuck? Why? I mean, there were a lot of people that wrote Oxygen off from 1 to 2. WP Crafter was one of them. I know he was very angry at the backwards compatibility and said that it was stupid, and he's a major YouTuber. And so I get where he's coming from. That you don't want to take and just drop the backwards compatibility. And that is a rock in a hard spot. I get that. I totally get that. And I think he is absolutely right. He's got the problem that the customers are saying they want one thing, but honestly, they really don't. They don't want what he would have to do. And if he did what he would have to do, Oxygen would just plummet, I think. And that's probably true. So I give him props there.
Number of features in Oxygen that are not present in Breakdance and possibly will never be present in Breakdance.
Newsflash, that's a lie. So one of the features that he's going to talk about a lot in here is no repeaters. And he claims that Elementor doesn't have a repeater. It has a repeater coming. He claims Divi doesn't have a repeater, which is true. It doesn't have a repeater. A lot of your main page builders do have repeaters. So guess what? When he goes and does the roadmap for this, the roadmap is already shown. What's one of the #1 features? It's a fucking repeater, because people are going to turn Breakdance into fucking Oxygen.
For example, Oxygen has repeaters. Breakdance does not have repeaters. Breakdance may never have repeaters. A lot of people are going to say,
it's going to have repeaters.
well, I'm not going to use Breakdance. Well, great. Oxygen's for you. For all the people who want a builder with repeater functionality, you can use Oxygen. Another builder that doesn't have repeaters is Elementor. It sells very well. Divi doesn't have repeaters. It sells very well. The Elementor developers are...
Bro, one thing you got to understand about Divi not having repeaters and Elementor not having repeaters is they're like the king of the hill right now, right? So, like, Oxygen came out way later than those, okay? Go read the 10 Laws of Immutable Marketing or whatever one of those books are, the 20 Laws. I can't remember the damn name of it. Go read it. It's probably one of the best marketing books out on the planet. It will help you understand exactly why they are where they are. It's partially because they're first to market. When you're first to market, it's a guarantee that you're going to have more market share unless your product just sucks. Unfortunately, Oxygen was last. It's not last to marketing, but it wasn't like first. And so Elementor and everything kind of got thrown in, and Divi was there for a long time, and it did really good, and it still continues to do really good to today because it was first to market. Divi was like the first page builder. Elementor came like second and knocked it off its throne. You can't keep putting page builders behind and behind and behind without establishing something that you do well for the market. That's how marketing works. That's how things work. Oxygen was never going to take off, and it was never going to be #1. It was climbing, and I think you could have gotten there, but I honestly think this is probably going to end up hurting it. I've said that before in my statements, and I think it's true.
Are not stupid. They know what they're doing. There's a reason they haven't built repeaters. It's technically complex to build. I don't really like the implementation in Oxygen. It is quite buggy. The UI is very...
Keep a note of that, too. I want you to keep a note of how many things are talked about that are in Oxygen today that he says he doesn't like. The repeater's #1, so let's write that down. Repeater, it's not his favorite thing, okay? So the repeater's not. We're gonna hear a lot more. Just wait. This isn't over. This is why I think what I think, and I'll come to my conclusion at the very end.
Flickery. It's not without problems. We probably don't want to do it in Breakdance, although it's possible we will. But what are we going to do? Tell everybody that has a site with a repeater, haha, just kidding, you now need to buy a third-party plugin and you need to rewrite this with the code block.
So he's talking about the upgrade path. That's 100% true. I think he's right. I can't argue with that. You can't just upgrade to something that doesn't have a feature that you want to upgrade to. That's not going to work.
But everybody's using Selector Detector. We don't have Selector Detector in Breakdance.
That's actually a really interesting point, because I've covered it a little bit, but never really had that like aha moment that I would expect from a feature like Selector Detector in terms of reception that people have.
I want to point out something. Stratos in here in the tutorials. Stratos is another YouTuber who does very good videos. Immediately says Elementor is getting repeaters. Just wanted to point that out.
But you know, going back to the point about the repeater, obviously that is a huge deal, and especially now in 4.0 that the duplicate ID issue is resolved. The other thing that's interesting is like something like Bricks Builder, for instance, their query loop can do, you know, users, terms, and posts, which is something that I think would be very welcome. But I guess the question
Agreed.
is, like, they're
tested in Oxygen and uploaded on the roadmap. It's likely to build it.
Oh, it is. It's going to get built.
We don't build features that are requested in Oxygen. If you look at all the history of our blog post release updates, we have built a significant number of the most popular feature requests. Everyone has their own pet request, and the less popular ones are obviously less likely to get built.
Let me tell you something about the GitHub page for Oxygen, and this is the most I'll ever say of it. Someone had pointed something out to me, and it's all on Oxygen, so go ahead and look. A lot of the Oxygen features, yes, they get upvoted, yes, they get done. There's also a lot of shit that never gets touched. And I don't know if people know that, but there's been a lot of people complaining about that recently. Like stuff that just gets left in the dust. And there's tons of people who want it. It just gets left in the dust or there's no fucking comment to it. So I don't know what the fuck that is, but using that fucking GitHub page is not doing Oxygen any favors.
But a lot of the big ones do get built, and they will continue to be built. And I know people say, oh, development's slow. We wish it was faster.
That's because you didn't use the money from Breakdance to add to Oxygen. But once again, just saying, that's what people are saying. I don't care. It doesn't make a difference to me. It's your money. You can do whatever you want with it. I don't disagree with it. Like I said, I'll wait until the end to make my reservation, but
Oxygen is a legacy code base. It was, coded in 2015 originally. It's built on Angular 1. We tacked a lot of stuff on top of it because we didn't know everything people would want, as of 2022 when we originally coded it in 2015. So, the architecture there was meant to support the initial features we built, but not, all the new features people have requested. So
I'm going to be honest with this. I think a lot of architectures out there are old. Part of me thinks that he kind of saw bricks, and even Paul had mentioned this in his video. The similarities are, I don't know. They're close, and bricks is built on Vue. So part of me thinks that he kind of saw bricks and said, shit, this technology's old. So that's another point to make. Keep that in mind. He says the technology's old. Not that it's bad. The technology is not bad. It's just old. So it's a lot harder to code in and do stuff like that. I get it. I totally understand that part. And I understand where he's coming from saying that the technology's old. Divi's old. Pretty sure Elementor couldn't just change their technology without fucking up everything. I mean, you get to the point where if you throw enough developers at it, like someone said, I'm not saying you can change the product, but you can solve a lot of the issues that he's talking about.
We can tack stuff on top of it, but often it results in bugs. And it's slower to build features that way. So another reason we didn't make Breakdance an update to Oxygen is because we would have never been able to implement these features in Breakdance in a 3-year time period.
I mean, I agree with that. I like the fact that Breakdance is actually a separate product. Even if it's under the illusion that it's targeting a different market. I think it's cool the way it came out because honestly, it feels good to use. So I get where he's coming from that stance. It feels snappy. It feels good. I mean, it just does. It's from Oxygen. It's a good builder. I'm not talking about like the like what you can do in it. I'm just talking about the aesthetics and how it feels inside of it.
It wouldn't have happened. We'd still be working on it. Nobody would have got Oxygen 4.0 or really any of the other Oxygen updates that took place when we were also building Breakdance behind the scenes.
Yeah, interesting. The thing I think there are two things for me personally, and I think others would agree that is like so vital when building sites, which is what is essentially a repeater or a query builder, like blocks and generate press have and that sort of thing, is the repeater and then conditions. So there is there's obviously the dynamic data feature. So I guess one thing I'm curious about is, were there decisions made for fuck, I keep wanting to call it Bricks Builder, sorry.
Maybe we need a different name that starts with a different letter.
It quite possibly, yeah.
I mean, if you haven't realized already that naming another page builder even close and using the same color scheme is a bad marketing fucking tactic, I don't care who the fuck you are. That's like, that's 101. I would rebrand with Breakdance. The logo's fine. Change the fucking color to stop people from thinking it's bricks.
But the conditions is a big one. Dynamic data is obviously there. But I was curious, was there decisions made that were trimming down for the sake of trimming down to differentiate it from Oxygen? Because it feels like there are so many things that are very similar but just done better than Oxygen. That I'm curious, like I kind of got that.
Once again, that's another thing that the community was frustrated with. When you sit there and you tell me that this is not Oxygen, oh no, it's not Oxygen, it's not Oxygen, and then you fucking go in there and you start playing with it, you're like, God damn, this shit's just much better than it is in Oxygen. Period. The end. That's all it boils down to. It's better. It's a better build. I mean, there's something about the way Lewis builds his stuff, and I kind of felt it with Oxygen, the first vision of Oxygen. Something about the way when he has input in it, when he doesn't step away, it's better built. He obviously knows what the fuck he's doing, but I mean, who am I?
The entire thing is built in Vue. We didn't really want, there was no, the plan wasn't to trim things down at all. The plan is to build every feature we think is going to be, you know, mainstream and popular. So again, if you look at mainstream builders like,
if that's the case, then you're going to start competing with your own product, because as soon as it starts having the features of Oxygen, I don't care what the other Oxygen folks say, you will compete with your own product. You realize that, right? I mean, in some ways, you're trying to sell Diet Coke and Coke, and I get that two people can double fist both of those, but there are times where people go, fuck it, I'll just drink the Diet. And I feel like, you know, Breakdance may be the Diet Coke that you want. Maybe that's what you want all along, is a more popular builder. I think there's evidence of that coming up.
Elementor, Divi, Beaver Builder, etc. The point isn't to trim down features and have less features at all.
Okay. Yep.
We think repeater is kind of an advanced thing, and it goes along with the Oxygen advanced user base. Elementor hasn't had repeaters for, I guess they've been around 5, 6, 7 years. No repeaters, very successful. We think we can do that with Breakdance as well, just in a package with, you know, less float and some of the advanced options.
See, and that's what I kind of worry about. You're taking a product that is brand new off the shelf, has no third-party support, has no design sets, at least not yet, because it is alpha. So it has no design sets. We have to see what the design sets look like. I'm sure Super Mike will be working on them. He's part of the team, and I know he's more than capable of taking and doing that. So I have hope, because Super Mike is an awesome designer, and I've seen the stuff that he does, and so if it even looks half as good as the stuff he does, it's going to be competitive for Elementor design-wise, because I think a lot of Elementor's designs and Brizzy and some of these other page builders, they're just really flat. And so I'm not surprised that he's doing it the way he's doing it. But let's keep going.
Features, but certainly not all of them.
Yeah, yeah.
Another thing about Oxygen, a lot of people who use Oxygen, they like Webflow. Breakdance is never going to be like Webflow. Webflow is for people that are, you know, like us, probably like the people in this chat, who know how to use divs, classes, all that stuff. When I was building the Breakdance website with classes, I was thinking to myself, how the fuck are people using these other builders where classes aren't front and center? And in Break,
I mean, they're building them just like you would think they're building them. In all honesty, what people say they want and what they want are two different things. I'm sure you already know this by now with the Oxygen community. You mentioned it a bunch of times in this video. What people want and what they say they want are two different things. Once again, read the 10 Laws of Immutable Marketing, whatever it is. It's one of the best books in the world. There was an old story that talked about people in airplanes wanting more space with seats. And so an airline created an airplane that had wider seats or longer seats so you could stretch out your legs. And they increased the tickets, and basically everybody came back and said, no, we're not paying for that. Well, it basically went bust. And so they went back to the smaller seats because they found out that ultimately what people wanted was price. It wasn't that they wanted more space, they wanted price, and price is the key. So you're kind of running into that with this. You're trying to compare it to Elementor. That's a bad place to be. Oxygen was already well established, and it was already on a track record. It may not be growing as fast as you wanted it to, but I still think that it was on a very good track record.
Yes, they're not front and center, but it's widely popular. People don't want to go through the learning curve of, you know, knowing how to style
That's true.
class, knowing, you know, display block or flex or grid or all these things.
one of the problems with Oxygen, I've said this since the very beginning, is you can't fucking give it to a client. I'm sorry. I know some people have built websites with Oxygen, but the fucking back end of Oxygen is horrible. It's built for a developer. It's not built for your average client. They are not going to know what the fuck to click on to take and change anything unless you build it smart, which Oxygen does have built-in stuff that you can go and build it in, but it doesn't change the fact that it is not built for a client. And so that's part of the reason why Elementor is doing as well as they're doing.
They just want something easy.
Yeah.
That's not what Oxygen is. That's not what Oxygen ever will be. And that's why we think Oxygen is going to continue to sell to the more advanced users. That's why we're going to continue to maintain.
You kind of contradict yourself soon, but let's wait and see.
People that want a webflow-like experience in WordPress, and then Breakdance is for the other 95% of the internet that wants a mainstream visual builder.
Yeah, so there's been a lot of things that I think have been, for me personally, frustrating over the years with Oxygen, and one of the big things that
this was good.
I was like, are you kidding me? Is that there's a roadmap.
This was good. This was good. Yes.
Never been any visibility into Oxygen.
Yes.
Which I always felt like, you do things very differently and very like against the grain, I think, in general. So I always thought I coined this thing. I don't know if anybody else knows this, but I call it #JustOxygen things.
That's 100% true.
I felt like that was like, I never understood the like lack of visibility into the roadmap and that kind of thing. And then the contrast of seeing that now with this new builder, it's like, oh, it's like I just wish
100%
there had been
100%
more visibility into Oxygen in the past, and then also the contrast now.
I get it. Here's the thing: the Oxygen business model does not work unless you're selling lifetime.
What?
Licenses.
No, that's not. No, that's not true. That's not true. I'm sorry. That's not true. If anything, this is proven that you're fucking wrong. You have a large majority of people who have come out with their pitchforks and they are shredding anybody who disagrees with Oxygen. To me, those people would be willing to go to battle with you. Those are loyal followers. You may not get all 30,000 loyal followers to go to battle with you, but you're going to get a good majority of them. And those people would not give a shit if you change the price. So that's just bullshit. Now, the way the community is and how much they love Oxygen, that's bullshit.
You don't want people to buy lifetime licenses based on what the product might be in the future. A roadmap,
You mean like every other page builder does? With fucking roadmaps? Every other one. Divi? Every other page builder tells you what's coming down the pipe. You're the only page builder that doesn't do it, and your excuse is fucking pathetic. I'm sorry. That's Jonathan asked that. Thank God he asked it, because it's 100% true. The fact that y'all can't give that and you're saying it's because of lifetime licenses is fucking stupid. I'm sorry. You're a fucking product. Just like these people say it's none of anyone's business what you do with the money. Guess what? It is our business to know what you do with the product if someone is paying for it. And that is true. That's 100% true. Go to fucking AppSumo and look at all the lifetime deals. It's a fucking requirement to have a roadmap. Give me a break.
I think it only works with a subscription model. I don't think we can convert an Oxygen to a subscription model. If you look at the comments in the Facebook group right now, I think that's pretty.
Look at how many people are willing to go to bat with you. Look at how many people are going to attack me in this video and then tell me that your Oxygen community, that one of the fucking strongest points of the Oxygen brand is the fact that people are willing to do battle with anyone who disagrees with Oxygen. Anyone. They are willing to go to bat with that person over all the great things that Oxygen can do and how you're wrong. And so for you to say that you can't do it, that's an illusion in your fucking head. There's nothing that you can't do with Oxygen. I'm just telling you the truth. It could be 100% better than what it is, and it's already really good, but there's nothing you can't do with it. That's just a limitation of your that's a limitation of your spirit. I'm sorry.
Be clear. Sure, 5-10% of the people might say I would happily pay, but that pisses off the other 27,000.
Yeah, I mean, you probably pissed off a good portion of at least 10,000 people who, when they saw Breakdance, they were like, fuck this. I'm going to go get a Bricks lifetime subscription. I mean, you kind of did the same thing. So what difference does it make?
Oh, we already promised lifetime updates. We can never go back on that. We're not going to.
Yeah.
So
that's another thing too. I'm not going to argue with you and I'm not going to fight with you, but there are plenty of people who take and go back on lifetime updates. It's not a very happy practice, and I don't think that many people want that to happen. I think a lot of people really like the lifetime updates, but why don't you just do like Divi or do something crazy where, I mean, you could have bumped the lifetime update up to like $4.99, and you could have set a monthly update of something like $25 a month, and people would have had to choose. Do you want to pay $500 for Oxygen, or do you want to pay $25 a month? And if it were unlimited websites, I'm willing to bet more people would say yes, since they're paying, you know, $100 or $200 to Elementor every month for their license. I mean, come on, it's an easy ask, and I don't understand what you're saying by saying that you can't. You absolutely 100% can. You can have 2 different marketing prices. People fucking do it all the time. Just don't keep the shit going if you don't choose to do it. You can't dip your toe in the pond and then immediately get out. I'm sorry.
If you have a roadmap and you're promising features, you don't deliver.
Nobody thinks that a roadmap promises any features. Anyone from AppSumo knows that a roadmap is just a rough guide of what's coming. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. It's much like the GitHub pages.
You know, you're in deep shit PR-wise. Not that we're not in deep shit PR-wise right now.
Exactly.
Yeah, so, you know, that's the reason for no public. Well, that's the reason for a public roadmap with Breakdance.
There we go. I like it. So I like the little slip. We're both there, so it's all good.
He even calls it bricks. That's hilarious.
Says, you knew it came down to money. If you look at Lewis's past like Twitter comments and stuff, you'll know he likes money. So it's like, obviously there's this you know, what's the word, like a goal. Yeah, like obviously there's
much more money. Look, Oxygen has been around for 7 years, and it's 1/100th the popularity of something like Elementor. I mean, it's much less.
That's because of the way you designed it. I mean, you had 2 fucking developers working on Oxygen. And if that's all you've ever had, I'm assuming that that's the case because you say it later on, but if that's all you've ever had, if it's just been you and 2 people, that's a small fucking group. I mean, you look at Thomas with Bricks, and Bricks has got the same issue. They're a small group. They're not big. And they're developing relatively slow too. I would say that it's very slow. You know, Elementor was one of the first builders, short of Divi, that had like probably 5 or 10 people on their team when they launched. Like, I think they had like 10 developers, and they're in a developing country, so I get it. They probably they did what they needed to do. I think they were just hungrier than Oxygen was. You wanted it, but you didn't want to put any marketing or effort behind it. And I think that that's where it really hurts you. And it is what it is. I mean, let the winner, you know, show.
Less popular than Divi. It's much less popular than Visual Composer, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if I would agree with that. That's, I mean, much less popular by what statistics are you using? Do you have the back-end data that tells you it's less popular? Are you just going by the downloads and how many people have installed it? I mean, what are you using for that data? Because Visual Composer fucking sucks from everyone I know, from any web designer I know of. I'd never see pages built in Visual Composer. It's very rare. I get that it's still out there and it's still roaming like cancer off of WordPress, but it's fucking terrible.
So you want to build something that's used, you know, by the mainstream. And by the way, if this project actually takes off and is successful, we'd have, you know, more revenue and might be able to fund faster Oxygen development.
So here's one of the places that if this project takes off, we're going to take good money that we're getting from this project and we're going to throw it at Oxygen to make it develop faster because no one wants it. You're going to say it in a little while, so don't pretend like you didn't just say that. You just said if this takes off, You're going to throw money at Oxygen because it's not developing fast enough because it's not popular. What are you going to do, marketing with it? I mean, what are you going to do? I just want to know, because after this train wreck, I'm not sure. I would almost hedge my bets on Breakdance.
But basically, I want to keep answering the previous question, which is, why is there no roadmap, the pace of Oxygen development, et cetera. So with Oxygen as a business that limps along selling lifetime licenses, if we change the pricing model to annual for new customers, it's going to cut sales in half. We've done this test before. We've done it with our other products.
They did. They did.
We know other people in the WordPress space. And that's basically what you can expect. And you also don't know what you're going to get in terms of renewals.
That's true. It would cut money. You're 100% right. It would, because it would be annual and people probably wouldn't. But then you would get to see what your community is really made of, and you could let Oxygen die if that's the case. And you could only work on Breakdance with anything that you wanted to, because if that were the case, basically the community could go, fuck you. I mean, it is what it is. At some point, you got to pull a trigger. I still don't understand why you think that you have to have one type of pricing or another. I still think you could have raised Oxygen's price. You could have come out with a subscription model, and I think that you could have done it that way, and I think it would have been fine. That's just my opinion, but I think you could have been fine. But let's keep going.
So, say goodbye to half of the Oxygen team if we do that. That's
you mean
good.
One of the developers?
That slows development down, not speeds it up. When I originally released Oxygen,
one of the developers,
be able to change to change to annual licenses eventually, but unfortunately we couldn't do it. The economics didn't make sense. Other builders, just came along, like Elementor, Beaver, et cetera, which took way more market share than Oxygen could ever capture, just based on their ease of use.
So with that, I follow your logic for sure. So I'm curious if out of your products, WP, All Import, you have Oxygen. There's been others, I think, that have kind of come and gone as well. Do you have one that's like kind of that you would consider like your baby? Like, do you feel like you're leaving Oxygen behind in a way? Like, because that you were the one that created it and coded it from the outset. You did a lot of tutorial videos. Right. I have old support tickets answered by you.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, look, when I first started, obviously I could do, some coding, I could do all the tutorial videos, et cetera. But as it scaled up, I can't handle all the support. I can't do all the tutorial videos, et cetera. But am I abandoning my baby? In a way, yes, I did.
I mean, you said it. I didn't. So good luck, Oxygen people. I just thought that was cute.
We released 3.0. I said, hey, Elijah, you're more than capable enough to run this. So you're in charge. You're the product. Which
I agree. Elijah is very good in the Oxygen community. I think he needs a medal from going through this. Whatever you're paying him, it ain't enough to go through this. You need to give him way more money, because that guy has kept his cool through all of this shit show, and I would give him a bonus or something. I don't know what I would do, but I would give him something.
Managing, you need support, you need the community, you handle all of it, and I'm going to go work on something else, which is Breakdance.
Super interesting. So another thing that I have a list of notes here, so I keep glancing
That's
around.
Good.
So there was at one point in the past, I recall very briefly, an affiliate program on the early Oxygen 1.x at some time, and it got dropped. And now, of course, I noticed that
now this I'm going to say, I understand his reasoning behind it. If you do the math, you can't give affiliate commissions on lifetime deals. You lose so much money. He would lose so much money in this. So I understand. I'm not surprised. There are other page builders that they do that, but they also don't have lifetime deals forever. I mean, Brizzy still kind of does their thing, and, whatever. Divi still pays for lifetime deals, and, it is what it is. But I get what he's saying. If you don't have some recurring revenue, I totally agree with this statement that he's about to say.
There is an affiliate program on this new builder, and I think there's probably quite a few of us that would have retired off of an Oxygen affiliate program.
Oxygen is WordPress for people who are fucking crazy.
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
I just skipped that because I didn't want to.
The other thing is there is what I believe is almost an aversion to anything other than LTDs that has been fostered by the Oxygen community, because the tool was for so long $99, and then people would bring out like an edition pack or themes or whatever.
That's because he decided to leave it at $99. He could have upped it at any point. Thomas from Bricks has already said it's a brand new tool that's less than a year, and he's like, get it while you can get it, because soon I'm going to pull the plug and nobody's going to bat an eye, and they're still going to continue to use it. So
it'd be 119 or 149, and people get all up in arms and like, oh, it's more than the builder, rah! And then anybody charges a yearly subscription, and then the whole world falls apart.
Yep.
So I guess
But how can that be true, Oxygen community, when you stand by him in everything that he wants to do? Because you've been coming out and reaming everybody else about how they could go bye-bye because they don't support Oxygen, but yet he just said you don't fucking support him. I mean, that's from your co-founder's mouth, I guess, with Elijah, that you don't support him, that he wants more money, and I get it. I agree. I don't disagree. So if that were the case, then the community would be a hell of a lot better. See, there's something wrong with the Oxygen community. It's always been a tad toxic to some extent. I've noticed that. I mean, Divi, the one thing I give them is it's an open community. They allow you to foster ideas, and they allow you to talk about everything that may be right or wrong about Oxygen. I give them credit for that. That is awesome. Public speech is awesome, and there's been good things that come from that. But at the same time, the community is also very, very fucking toxic. I'm just being honest. You've got people who will literally shit on other people because they want something different than you. And I get it. It's from both sides. It's not just from the Oxygen community side. So I'm not picking on the Oxygen community. I'm also picking on the other people who are saying, oh, Breakdance came out and it's absolute shit and it's going to drive everything. It's both sides. So there's that.
I don't really know where my question was.
Let me get your thoughts on that then. Yeah, development costs money. There are a lot of features people added to Oxygen through add-ons, and they cost money. And then people think, well, I want to pay $99 for Oxygen and have every single one of these features. It's not realistic. There's no way with the revenue of a lifetime deal.
It is realistic if you started offering an annual subscription next to that lifetime deal.
For example,
Divi's done it for years and it's never changed.
Something like that. Shit, I read the comments again in the chat. You know what? Let me answer this question, and then I want to go through all the chat comments.
Yeah, so
and start answering those.
Real quick, let me interrupt you because there's going to be a bit of a delay. So if you have a specific question for Lewis, drop it in the chat now, and we'll answer it in like 60 seconds.
Make Oxygen Plus and charge us more.
Don't ask when it's going to come out.
Good job, John. You're being a good Oxygen.
I want to answer the hard ones too. I want to actually go.
Please
list
answer the hard ones.
And answer some of the hard. Is there a way to scroll all the way up on the list and answer the difficult questions?
I don't know how far back you can go.
Ooh, well, if you guys ask difficult questions, repost them, and I'll do what I can. Can Lewis breakdance? Lewis cannot breakdance. Lewis cannot dance.
Where did the name come from?
How do I? It was on Brand Bucket, and I could afford it, and it had ended in a .com, and it was brandable. How do we plan to reassure the community? Any big updates coming for Oxygen? Like I said, no roadmap. Everybody come here and shoot me. But yes, we're going to continue updating Oxygen at the same exact pace we always have. We're going to continue going down that.
This changes a little bit at the end too. I want you to listen to something. I'm going to point it out, but I want you to listen.
List basically by order of ease of building it and thumbs up. If you go to Oxygen Bugs and Features GitHub and you
why is the branding so close to Bricks Builder? Was it intentional?
All stuff at the top of that list that didn't get built.
That's a great point. Once again, people are just pointing this shit out. No one needs to tell you.
What would you say to current Oxygen owners? Should we change to Breakdance? I'm going to do a video comparing Oxygen and Breakdance in more detail because I know Jonathan's doing the first look, but I've been looking at both these things for the last 5 years.
It's not going to matter. If you give Breakdance another year, it's going to look like a totally different product because of the way that the roadmap is going to force them to build features that they really need. And I'm sure that they've got a bigger development team. He's going to say that. I think they've got 5 developers. Oxygen has 2. So it's going to be coming out fast. He's hedging a lot of bets on this in case you didn't know. Do you plan on hiring any PR? It's a good question.
So then you can ultimately decide. If you like a Webflow-like experience in WordPress, I would not recommend switch.
But you've already said that that's failing, so why does anyone like a Webflow experience? You're going to say it again later on. Watch.
If you like Elementor, but you don't want the bloat, you want maybe better elements, and you want better WooCommerce and global styles experience, you'll definitely like Breakdance. What would Lewis say to current, can we trust Auction will still be our go-to builder for years to come? Whether it's your go-to builder for years to come is up to you, but we're not going to stop providing support for it, selling it, updating it, or providing, honoring the lifetime license. If you release an optional small auction support subscription without any features, I would subscribe. Well, I thank you for the kind words. We're glad you subscribe, but the vast majority of users won't subscribe. What did Jonathan just say? When people did annual licenses for some of the auction add-ons in the group, people said absolutely not.
Once again, that's where you need to just take your fucking pants down and say, kiss my fucking ass. And it is what it is. Let the fucking builder either die on the vine or grow like it's supposed to. I mean, I would probably buy an Oxygen annual license if you did something great or you added in some of those features. I mean, Jesus Christ, I know that I'm not the only one. I know that there are other people saying, Lewis, we don't want to give you money. Obviously, you don't want to be a charity, but God damn, we would pay money for Oxygen to be really good, to feel like Breakdance.
You don't want an annual subscription. The mix of Oxygen customers is very interesting. It's like this combination of people who are very, very price conscious and want the lifetime deal, very, very performance conscious, right? They pinch kilobytes, they pinch pennies.
No. That's 100% not true. First off, that's not the Oxygen community. That's any community as a whole. When the pandemic hit, everything started going downhill, just like a dumpster fire. And prices have always been an issue from beginning to end. You can't take and come out with something like Divi, who has never changed their fucking price. They've been $250 for as long as I can fucking remember. They haven't changed the shit. And then bring out a new builder and say, oh, we're $500. That's the reason that Brizzy constantly has sales on their builder. It's because it's not fucking selling. Eventually you reach a point where the market and the demand don't meet, and then you can't go anywhere because no one's buying it. No one wants it. No one's going to buy a $1,000 page builder, although you could say, hey, that's already been done with Elementor. That's because they're established. When you're established, you can do whatever the hell you want to, but right now when you're small, that's hard to do. And so I get your pain point of Oxygen not growing as fast as you want. I get it.
They're very, very advanced. They want, divs, classes, flexbox, all that jazz.
So
while there are some, go ahead.
I was just going to interject real quick with something slightly different before I forget, which is that I started off the stream by saying that my initial response was a degree of uncertainty and kind of uncomfortability with this announcement. And Taylor hit on one of the points, which I forgot about, which was how and why does Breakdance already have over double the engineers that Oxygen has? Because I think you already said that Breakdance has 5. I know you don't hire anybody but the best. And so
yep.
Where does that emphasis lie, and how are you going to prioritize people and updates and money and that kind of thing?
Yep.
Yeah, so Oxygen right now, it has 2 engineers, the product manager. Occasionally we add some product contract engineers. So we've had, it points up to 5 engineers on Oxygen, but right now it's 2. We just hired another for the second. But we also just lost a couple of engineers. We're probably not going to change the Oxygen team size too much because that's what the revenue supports. Oxygen would not be a profitable business.
So once again, keep that in mind. Oxygen would not be a profitable business with more engineers. Breakdance already has double. That means he's hedging his bets on Breakdance, and I don't think he's wrong.
5 engineers. So we're going to get the money for 5 engineers for Breakdance, WPL for it.
So then that takes care of that. So the community who's been bitching about it being Oxygen based and where the money came from, I still think part of it's Oxygen, but okay. I mean, whatever you want to say. It's your money. It doesn't fucking matter. It could be mafia money. It doesn't make a difference.
This other product which does a good bit better than Oxygen.
And has for some time, right?
Yeah, we have WPL imports been around.
Well, Jesus, Jonathan, don't rub salt in the wound.
Beginning of 2011 when we first shipped.
Let's see. Do we have any other good questions in here? There's a mix of mix.
On the hard questions, there were a bunch of good ones. Anyone who didn't get your question answered, just everyone else shut up. Anybody who didn't get your question answered, ask it right now.
So Kevin is one of the people who's been very critical of Oxygen from beginning, and he starts hammering Lewis hard because he's the one, if in case you live under a rock or your name is Lewis and you just don't know who he is, which they will talk about later, he's the guy who's made automatic CSS, which is a fucking popular ass framework and people love the shit out of it. But he says, how is there no market for subscription for Oxygen as a pro tool? Webflow is worth $4 billion. I think Webflow is a little bit overpriced.
Kevin has a good question. Kevin is another.
How is there no market subscription for Oxygen as a pro tool? Webflow is worth $4 billion. Okay, yeah, Webflow has venture capital. Webflow isn't profitable at $4 billion
True.
As far as I know. I think they've raised hundreds of millions of dollars.
I agree.
And that allows them to build all sorts of enterprise stuff. They have their own CMS.
Yep.
The pricing for Webflow is way, way higher.
It is.
You know, you export the raw HTML. It's used by more enterprise companies, their internal design teams. They want to whip something up with an Oxygen-like experience, but they're not using WordPress. They're not building websites for clients. I mean, if you look at it,
Lewis is right about this. WordPress is never going to be an option that people feel comfortable going to. It's always going to be an option that people run into issues with where the company or whatever, a lot of companies out there just don't like WordPress. Simple as can be. They just don't. And they never will. And so they like Webflow. And it is what it is. It makes sense.
They're listing, customers on their website. These are huge brands with massive design teams. Maybe they have 100 users. Everybody's paying a monthly fee. So one customer might be paying Webflow thousands of dollars a month. Oxygen, it's mostly independent people who are creating websites for clients.
Why Oxygen changed the pricing model?
I got to toss it.
I didn't see that.
Drop a stream on this like if you're happy that Lewis is here.
All right, let's keep going. Come on.
A like on this stream, a stream on this like, same shit.
Why did drop Oxygen price again?
Are two completely different prices. When are we getting an Oxygen rate? Never. We're never going to rewrite Oxygen. Absolutely not. It would break backwards compatibility. It would break everybody. It would break everybody's existing website.
So then a question I have related to that would be kind of does that mean that Oxygen is going to be forever hindered by its legacy?
Yes,
kind of
100%. Yes.
Absolutely. It's a legacy product. It's built on Angular. Every product becomes
legacy
eventually.
That's true. That is 100% true.
If you look at WordPress, for example, and I don't know, I'd like to talk about Gutenberg a little bit.
Yes.
But if you engineer for WordPress and you actually work with the WordPress code base, it's a fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
It's backwards compatible. It's legacy code. They don't, the concept of like pure functions and types and any of that. Not at all. It's, it was written in, PHP 4 and then PHP 5, and they can't break anything. They don't want to. It powers too much of the internet. So they're not going to break backwards compatibility, and that means the code base is going to be a legacy code base. It doesn't mean it can't have functionality, but it does mean the pace of development is relatively slow. If you look at the WordPress core, other than Gutenberg, what are the real significant changes that happen to it?
Nothing.
Honestly, not much. It makes people happy.
Similar to Oxygen, honestly.
And those are the people that use
if I'm being honest.
If the product doesn't do what you want, you don't use it. If Breakdance is Oxygen, why not release new features for Oxygen with payment fee? Well, we promised lifetime licenses, so I mean, look, people are angry at us right now that Oxygen is going to continue to be maintained in the same way it always have, and we're giving them a 1-year, license to Breakdance, and people are mad.
That's because you're not going to maintain it the same way you have. You've already hedged your bets on Breakdance that it's a better builder by putting more development behind it. What they're mad about is they feel like Oxygen should have 5 developers and Breakdance should have 2. It's a newer product. But I know why you're doing it. You're doing it because you already know that Oxygen is a failure. And you're about to show that in a little bit. So let's keep listening.
So you think we can release new Oxygen features for a fee? Absolutely not. There's got to be free. That's what we promised. That's what we will deliver. Is Breakdance better in performance anyway from Oxygen? What about accessibility and DOM stuffing? Breakdance is not better from a performance standpoint from Oxygen. In alpha, it's probably a bit worse, but that's due to bugs where we're just loading stuff where we should. So we can get it similar. As far as the HTML output, Oxygen is ID based. Breakdance is class based. So there are no IDs in the Breakdance output. We could never take Oxygen to classes and remove the IDs because people have written CSS that relies on those IDs. So there's just no way, be a breaking chain, which is one you can't do. What about accessibility and DOM stuffing? We have a menu builder element that is the drag and drop menu builder and Breakdance.
It's a great menu editor, by the way. If you've never played with it, the mega menu feature in Breakdance is probably the best menu editor I've ever played with. Honestly, it's that good. It's insane how good it is.
That's totally accessible. Tab through it with keyboard nav. The ARIA attributes hit under to open the menus. It's awesome. I think our tabs element also keyword accessible. Everything's supposed to be accessible. It's an alpha, so I'm sure there are bugs. But whatever's wrong, report it. We'll focus on it and we'll fix it. What about DOM stuffing? Like, is it divception? It is more divception than Oxygen. The code is not the same as Oxygen. It's still good. It's better than a lot of other builders, but it's not Oxygen. Like, if you look at the image element in Breakdance, it has a number of, Oxygen's image element is just a raw HTML image. It's just an IMG tag. Advanced users love that. Breakdance doesn't have a raw IMG element. The image element is wrapped with a div, and there's a figure around it, so you can add a caption, you can put a mask on it. This is what people who want to, build websites rapidly and do things easily want to do. But there are a couple of extra HTML elements in there. There is a div element in Breakdance, so you can just add one div to your page if you want. You can't put it in the root build. In Breakdance, every page has to be built with sections. So if you're trying to do like a div with a sidebar layout, you better stick with Oxygen and the inheritable templates and the divs. If you just want to add sections to your page easily, you want to let your client in there and not screw things up.
Kevin mentions the tabs element has no keyboard focus, at least not out of the box, and the menu builder has accessibility issues. Kevin's really looking at Kyle too. Kevin and Kyle are just mentioning some stuff.
Recommend Breakdance.
It's awesome.
Where do you
It's
think
funny.
Oxygen needs to improve? Honestly, go to the feature request page, sort by
Their menu, build the fucking menu just like Breakdance, because Breakdance menus is good. I mean, Oxygen's menu it's much harder to build a menu with Oxygen than Breakdance.
the most upvoted or most commented. Those are the areas. And also bug fixes. It is
Newsfix, that's a repeater. The most upvoted.
buggy, but there are limits as to what we're actually capable of doing to fix all these things, because a lot of them are kind of baked into the architecture and the way we wrote things. So there are things we can refactor to fix bugs, and we do that, but a total rewrite that will solve all the problems just isn't on the table for where to get.
So I was going to say a hypothetical for you is, let's say, as a result of this announcement, Oxygen sales drop off a cliff, and you decide to sunset Oxygen. What happens in that case? Because surely you've thought about that. Surely you anticipated what we're experiencing here today.
Listen very, very close to this.
Here's the thing. If Oxygen is the same product it was yesterday, and sales didn't drop off a cliff. So if people stop buying Oxygen because of Breakdance, it's probably because they're going to buy Breakdance. Either that, or they don't trust us to provide updates anymore. They don't want to buy Oxygen for what it does currently. But if Oxygen sales drop off a cliff because everyone starts buying Breakdance, great. We're making the same amount of money. We can continue to fund the Oxygen too. I don't think Oxygen sales are going to drop off a cliff.
I do.
That's why we lowered the price.
I do.
I'll get into that in a minute, but we did lower the price.
Oh, did you?
Oh yeah, dude, it's $149 a year. Not even a year. Lifetime.
I do. I think they're going to, your sales are going to take a hit.
Ask me about the new pricing.
Your sales are going to take a hit. I don't care what you say. Your sales are going to take a hit. People seeing this fucking dumpster fire are not going to feel comfortable with this.
But yeah, I don't think Oxygen sales are going to drop off the cliff. If they do, well, we can find it with Breakdance.
Once again, so remember that, Oxygen people. Oh well, if they do, fuck it. Breakdance is the new builder. Fuck you. He didn't say fuck you. Okay, I get it. But that's what it felt like. I mean, it felt like a punch to a gut. Like, if Oxygen dies, well, I mean, we can just fucking move to Breakdance, which is what I want to do anyway, because I don't like Oxygen anymore.
Obviously, if our business collapses and we go out of business, then yes, we're out of business. We can't afford to pay engineers and developers and support agents, then we're gone. But I don't think that's likely. I don't anticipate that happening. Oxygen does the exact same thing it did yesterday.
True.
People who want to use Oxygen continue to buy it.
True.
If they would prefer Breakdance, then we'll have revenue for Breakdance.
Yeah.
So I don't think it should make any difference to the bottom line.
Yep.
Will I be able to develop locally and push updates to the live site similar to Git? I mean, it's not a built-in feature of Breakdance. I use local by Flywheel. It's pretty good. You can just, in one click, you can send your everything up to the live site. And it integrates with WP too, so definitely check that out. Oh, somebody wrote something that scrolled the chat. How do I go up? When I release Oxygen as open source, we decided to drop this over. Absolutely, it's already GPL. Oxygen is already. Did my internet die?
Nope, you're here.
I'm still here. Okay. Would we release? Where was I in the chat? Where was I in the chat? If Breakdance, okay, I have to rewrite one. Scroll down from here. Why should this? We release Oxygen. Okay, here's where I was. Why should I be interested in Breakdance if I got Oxygen? What are the selling points? We have a great WooCommerce integration. It's really nice. It's better than anything you've ever seen in Visual Builder. We have
Wait. Mark this word. Mark it. Listen to it. Cherish it. Because shortly in a little while, he's going to say that he admits that the WooCommerce builder is not the best.
Form builder. We have a drag and drop menu builder. There's no Gutenberg integration, but you can let your clients write into Breakdance. They're probably not going to.
Or is he talking about Breakdance?
So,
I'm confused.
That's actually a really funny point, because you would often get people that were new to the Oxygen ecosystem posting in the Facebook group, and they'd say, "Where's the form builder?" And they would get flamed to hell for even proposing such a preposterous idea.
Toxic.
And, it's again, it's funny that the contrast. But does that go back to your point of that you're hoping that or expecting that these are two different markets of people?
Absolutely. Elementor has a form builder. It's a mainstream product. I think Bricks has a form builder.
So are you copying the other mainstream products?
But yeah, I think
our market now is just our marketing's just going to be to copy other products.
Already, they have forms plugins they know how to use, like Gravity Forms. They know how to whip up complex forms. They know how to code API integrations for things that maybe aren't supported out of the box. They're kind of add-ons to integrate with the more advanced stuff. I don't know if we're still using Gravity Forms, but we definitely use Gravity Forms for a number of our support forms at one point. It's great. There's WP Forms too, which I don't think is quite on the same level of Gravity Forms in terms of power, but it's certainly powerful. You can do a lot with it. It's not like a form builder that you'll find in Breakdown.
So I have to agree with Sean here. You should think about the future ones. I can't simply fathom why you're so hooked with the LTD system for Oxygen. I agree. I think you're right.
Elementor. We do have a good form builder in Breakdown still for email subscribe forms, contact forms.
Haven't tried it.
Register
Got to
forms.
try it.
You can add them to your page in one click in Breakdance. Does that feature really fit into Oxygen? Is that feature going to make anybody buy Oxygen?
It could.
I don't think so, because most people who would want to use Oxygen know how to build divs and classes. They don't need a form builder. They have.
If one of your major complaints is that people ask where a form builder is, you would think that you would say, maybe there are people who want to use Oxygen that wish it had a fucking form builder. I mean,
they have a powerful form builder they know how to use.
How do you feel like? Go ahead.
You go ahead, and then I'll go back to the questions from the side.
Also, adding a form builder is an added expense to something that you already don't want to pay for. So having one in is really helpful. Just going to say that. One that works.
Yeah, so I was curious.
And can we move this to the Facebook group? Because we got 230 people watching here. But you just want to interview me on the Facebook group?
I
do that tomorrow. Let's continue this here.
Sure.
Let's do one of these tomorrow.
Yeah, because I think by then we're going to have more questions. People have had a chance to actually use it.
And I'm going to get a haircut if the place is still open.
I'm going to riot if you get a haircut, because you and I are on the same level here.
You're dumb.
Yeah, you do.
I'm not even close. Camera. You look like a wizard. Okay. Would you release Oxygen as open source? It's already GPL, but yes, if we ever stop development, we put it on GitHub, GPL, or MIT. You can do whatever you want with it. It's not.
That would be awesome. I'm just going to say that. if Oxygen ever goes open source and they stop developing it, it might be the best thing for Oxygen, to be quite honest with you, because a community developing it can be fucked up and it can be very bad, but the community behind Oxygen is very passionate. So I feel like it's almost like a Linux type thing where the community would come together and start to develop it and build it exactly how they want it.
Not happening though. I mean, obviously, I know what's going to happen in 10 years, but shit, I don't know what's going to happen to WordPress in 10 years at that point. Offer an optional subscription for supporters without any features. We're not a charity. I appreciate it. If you want to give us free money, just go buy Breakdance and then never use it. People are mad because how you handle this is a total clusterfuck. Yeah, I would agree. But again, we just want people testing the alpha. We don't have a PR team. Hopefully, I'll do a couple of these interviews and have it piss less people off. But yeah, rereading that initial Facebook post, we should have anticipated these objections and answered those before being like, yo, Breakdance, check it out.
Yeah.
But hopefully you guys can now go in the Facebook group and comment and help me answer some of the...
I love Kyle. No, what you should have done was you should have maybe took all the people who had lifetime licenses and said, look, we've got a new product in the works. Simple as that. You don't owe us a right to anything, but we've got a new product that's similar to Oxygen. I'm just going to say that. It's coming out. I mean, I think that would have done wonders. I don't think it would have hurt anything. It would have probably built up. But I guess he knew that this was going to be bad partially, so he didn't want to do it.
Those questions, because I'm going to go back to that thread after about an hour and say,
I was already at like 200 comments before you even came on, so yeah, it's definitely going to be a doozy.
Yeah, so probably what I'm going to do is make a couple videos basically ask, was a better Gutenberg integration. We wanted to be able to bring those changes back into Oxygen. Good fucking luck.
Yeah, he talks about Gutenberg a lot in this, and I can't disagree with him. Gutenberg is fucking garbage, and it always will be. It has yet to be great. The experience is terrible, and he's right on with everything that he says about Gutenberg.
The Gutenberg APIs are a train wreck.
It is.
It's everything about it's not good. There's a reason everybody's still using builders like Elementor.
100%.
Happened to us with Oxygen with lifetime licenses. No chance of lifetime license with Breakdance. Absolutely not. How close is Oxygen to its ceiling? 80 out of 100, 65 out of 100? I'd say base probably about 80 out of 100. I mean, we've been adding features to it for really the last 5 or 6 years. There are a number of bugs that we got to fix and polish that we got.
A number? Someone down below, tell me how many bugs are in Oxygen right now in GitHub. Because someone told me it's like an extraordinary number, and if you go back and look at the dates, some of the bugs haven't even been looked at since 2019.
Got to do and little tweaks we got to make. But as far as like significant changes to the way anything works in Oxygen, we did overhaul the UI in 4.0, but like all the same features are there. They all work basically the same way.
With that same kind of timeline and how Oxygen developed, new features came out, and then you would hit these barriers. How have you kind of factored that in with Breakdance? Because surely you don't want to run into the same problems again. Is that purely down to a cost perspective? No, it's the whole architecture from the beginning, like how it's built on a fundamental level, like the core, the technology used. In Breakdance, we're using a technology called TypeScript, which means it's a developer term, but it makes it a lot easier to refactor without introducing bugs. Like any type of like red uncaught exception error that you ever see in Google Chrome, it's either an exception or a type error. TypeScript makes type errors basically impossible, and we have TypeScript on a significant portion of the code base. Putting it on the Oxygen code base, it's unrealistic. It wouldn't happen. It's not written in a way that can even accommodate that. So that's one thing we did to ensure that we can continue developing quickly going down the line. Every product eventually does turn into a legacy code base, though. Every product does.
It's true.
If you look at Elementor, for example, it's built in Backbone, I think it is. They have a bigger team. They have venture capital. They have lots of revenue.
They do.
They're moving at a decent speed.
They are.
They're not moving quite as fast as they would be able to if they did everything from the beginning, from the ground up.
That's true.
Rick's guy. That guy is flying because he built everything with Vue. He's probably using TypeScript. He built it all recently. He understood all the features. So they're necessary. So he architected things in a way that he could build those features.
Yeah, so how do you...
So that's a little bit of ass kissing right there that you just can't pass up. Oxygen in bricks, it's like Lewis and Bricks and Thomas. Really, in all honesty, they should have just fucking joined forces and made one page builder. Because I don't know if they would get along or not, but there's been some talk back and forth between them, and they obviously accept one another as kind of like equals. Like, everyone knows that Bricks is well developed. Everyone knows that Oxygen's well developed. It's two of the more well developed page builders that are out on the market. And the fact that he gives kudos to him is why so many people are running to Bricks, is because they know that it's a well developed page builder, and it's going to continue to be a well developed page builder. Hopefully one that gets development money dumped into it.
You see Bricks as a competitor. Obviously, it's got a similar color scheme and similar letter in the name. Did you look at that or other builders for inspiration? Because it feels like the Breakdance the interface feels similar.
Well, you know what? They were obvious improvements. If you look at a preview of what Elementor has planned for their interface, it's the same. These are obvious improvements from Elementor, Oxygen, and every other builder. There are only so many ways to do a builder, you know?
Yeah, yep.
We didn't look at it heavily, so I don't know what they have that we don't, and what we have that they don't. If it becomes formidable competition, we'll look into it more.
This is a really good question, and it's one that he kind of skips, but I wish he would have answered. Are you concerned about the mass migration to competition such as Bricks Builder? And also, can we expect you to be more people-oriented like Thomas? So Thomas is one of the nicer builders, the nicer guys that I've ever seen. I've never seen him do a video or anything. He just does his videos or whatever. But Thomas is 100% based on the community. As a matter of fact, at one point, Bricks had come out with something, and the community said, this is a fucking train wreck. Like, we need to rewrite it. And Thomas went and did it. That's the thing that people are looking for in terms of a community. So I think those are the things that are going to ultimately drive people more towards Bricks.
But right now, I'm more focused on the mainstream builders like, you know, Elementor, Beaver Builder.
You've said that.
You know,
Beaver Builder. I don't know why Beaver Builder. Beaver Builder's fucking terrible.
Quick play around. I will say Breakdance is mobile styles, WooCommerce, drag and drop menu builder. It has conditions, totally blow it out of the water. That said, Bricks has repeaters. We don't. We might never.
Yeah, that's
on the roadmap, but we may never have it. So you guys. And what I'm thinking for repeaters too is people want to build lists of posts.
True.
I don't necessarily want to give users all the same customization options they have in a repeater, because most users aren't going to be able to use this.
That's true.
Look at common websites, there's kind of a common theme about they have card layouts. They can either be a grid or they can be stacked. They might want to show some custom fields. Like, imagine a real estate site where it's number of bedrooms, number of bathrooms. They might have an image at the top of the card or the left of the card. They might want filtering options. They might want a search bar. Maybe we'll build some kind of repeater like that, or maybe we build something like Oxygen's Easy Post, which was honestly anything but easy you had to code, and that would kind of give users the best of both worlds. If they want to, you know, code the template for the loop, they can do it. If they want to just have like a basic list, but also put some metadata in there, they can do it. That's the sort of feature that we're looking at for a builder like Breakdance. It's not the sort of feature that we look at for a builder like Oxygen. And repeaters, maybe not the sort of feature we look at for Breakdance. If Elementor ultimately adds a repeater because they feel it's necessary, maybe we would at that point if they really think it's.
Well, it's coming. People have said it in the chat.
The mainstream feature. Personally, I doubt that it is.
Yeah, yeah. So interesting. There's like a facet of this where it's like I could see this world and where it very quickly starts to like blur these lines of like, you know, advanced developer, user friendly, and then it's almost like, you know, pushing.
Well, yeah, let me tell you something about advanced developers and then user in a completely different market. So this doesn't count. Filmora is a prime example. Filmora had a pro license of their editing software, which is what I use. I use Filmora. It's no secret. I like Filmora, and I bought the original just basic editor because I'm more of a basic editor. That's why I don't have the time to go through and do advanced editing and color correcting and that kind of bullshit. Well, guess what? That advanced editor, can't even speak, just fell off a fucking cliff, and now Filmora is just keeping with its basic. Sometimes basic is better, and I think he knows this. That's why he's kind of hedging his bets on Breakdance.
Oxygen further and further down the like the like convincing, you know, kind of builder argument. Yeah, there's
That might happen. I mean, honestly, if we were able to replicate all of the advanced power user features in an easier to use way, then I think most people are going to opt for those.
I think so too.
Yeah, because I mean, already like the minor changes that could have probably been done with Oxygen, like the dynamic data interface in Breakdance, the fact that I can type in what I want and then like it filters down what I'm actually looking for in that interface is so nice. Minor things like tab to elements like keyboard nav when you're searching in the ad panel, stuff like that. It's just like it's almost like so frustrating that it's here and not in Oxygen. You know, it's like those minor quality of life things. It's just like
add-on developers really not implemented that functionality.
I mean, I didn't feel like the onus was on them. You know.
That was a good point. Good job, Jonathan.
No, it is kind of on us, but with the limited resources we had, we focused on building features.
Well, Jesus, if you wonder why you're not Elementor, there you go. With the limited resources we have. Everybody's got limited resources. I'm sure Thomas has limited resources with fucking bricks. And you don't hear him sitting there saying. And then, look, like Kevin says, he said it 5 times. If Elementor does it, then we'll do it. There's no real thought or leadership behind. So is there no real thought or leadership behind Breakdance? I mean, that's a good fucking question.
But in a lot of instances, we didn't build the quality of life things. Hey, now that we've shipped 4.0, you can expect to continue to focus on that. I can't promise anything specific, but if you guys have quality of life improvements you'd like to see, post them on the GitHub and get them uploaded. And it's likely they'll get built. Like we added copy and paste. I mean, I'm sure we're going to continue adding more stuff like that as it gets requested.
Yep. Kevin.
But, you know, it does suck to see all these features that you wanted. I mean, you look at, Breakdance, you see features that you want in Oxygen. If Oxygen doesn't have it, sucks. When you look at Bricks, they have better keyboard nav than Oxygen's doing in the user interface.
Yeah. See, the thing was, prior to today, I've been eyeballing Bricks quietly. I haven't done any videos on it, and I also haven't.
I bet you after this, you start looking at Bricks a lot more.
Talked about this, but I was eyeballing it primarily because it had the query loop that does users terms and posts, which if Oxygen's repeater could do that, it opens up a whole world of possibility for marketplace websites and all kinds of different things like that. It's so interesting that now there's this other player in the space that has this other set of features and focus, and I am curious the reception, because earlier on I was asking, how do you feel about this, and everybody's like thumbs down, bad, so obviously there's a bit of shock factor because it's been 2 hours since you made the post, and so people I'm sure need to sleep on this and see how this development is going to go over the next few weeks and few months.
Can I answer some more of the questions in the chat?
Yeah.
Someone asked, how will Breakdance compare to Oxygen for developers? These Oxygen is a web developer focus builder, compared to element configuration, more designer, non-technical focus. I should really read that slower because only the guy that asked the question is it. How will Breakdance compare to Oxygen for developers? We use Oxygen because it feels like a web developer focused builder, compared to Elementor and Git, which are designer and non-technical focused. Yeah, Oxygen will continue to be the developer focused builder with classes, front, center, state, or after, all that kind of stuff. Breakdance, not so much. Some of the features are there hidden away behind different panels, but the main focus of Breakdance isn't. It does have some power users for developers. You have to play around with it and see if it fits your workflow. But that's not the main idea behind Breakdance. Oxygen strength is being thought for pro users and combination should continue to trick. Yeah, I think that's what's going to happen. Marcelo, lifetime licenses, we rename our product and sell it to you again. That's why people are pissed. Well, hey, look, you can keep using Oxygen, you get exactly what you paid for, and continue updates. I know you want all the features and enhancements that you would see in Breakdance with people paying $149 a year for it, but all the things I'm promising in Breakdance, all the things I've built.
Let me tell you what people are going to be pissed off with, and I see this coming way sooner than ever. As soon as they start pushing out development and code and updates, they're going to have to be entirely smart about how they do it, because people are going to start comparing Oxygen, and then the Oxygen pitchfork people are going to come back and say, well, they only have 2 developers, and people are going to be like, but Breakdance has fucking amazing repeaters and it has all this shit, and it's like, well, it's being funded a lot more than Oxygen is. ultimately that's where it's going to boil down to. It's going to be interesting to see why, but it's going to boil down to being which one's going to be funded more.
Those only make sense if we get a lot of customers paying $149 a year, right? None of that would ever happen with a lifetime license. So, I mean, if you want a lifetime license, but you want the level of features you get in a subscription-based product, it doesn't make any business sense. Your businesses can't do it. It's not profitable. What is the purchase path to Oxygen lifetime member to get Breakdance? You get a 1-year free license to Breakdance. Will there be some kind of discount after that? I don't know. Maybe, probably not. I can't say anything now. I just have no idea.
Honestly, that's, you know, and there's another bunch of people that are in here who said, look, this was nice. He didn't have to give you a yearly one-time free license to it. And I agree. That's 100% true. He did not have to do that. I think he's hoping that a number of people who have Oxygen and fucking just sit on it will probably go over to Breakdance and try it and just get their, you know, get their Elementor out. And so they may move away from Oxygen and move to Breakdance. And if they do, then he's constantly generating revenue over and over and over again, nonstop. And I get it. I totally get it.
But right now, 1 year for free.
Good question from Bryn. He said, why would somebody use Breakdance over Elementor? Because you talked about Breakdance versus Oxygen, but
Right.
Breakdance versus Elementor and the other incumbents that you'd be competing against.
Let's go.
Yeah, I'll make a more detailed video versus the competition down the road. That does seem to stir the pot pretty heavily.
That's what you're known for, though, dude.
I know, but it's not going to go do that with Breakdance. It's like, we'll do that with Oxygen. I'll get into reasons why if you ask me in a couple minutes. It's not going to go with Breakdance. That said, I will give a couple of key.
Basically, he's learned his lesson with Oxygen not to do it because people will call you out on it. And they'll explain to you that you can say what you want about Elementor. The Elementor crowd gives no shit about Oxygen. They do not care because they're getting paying clients day in and day out. It is one of the most popular page builders, and they give no fucking shits about 30,000 Oxygen customers.
Features. The rest you'll have to play around with it and see if you like it. I think you will. One, WooCommerce. In Breakdance, it kicks ass out of the box. It has.
I haven't played with it, but it looks good.
WooCommerce site without a theme, and it looks amazing. And then you can get the whole thing on brand and the global site in just a few clicks. And there are 24 WooCommerce elements, including mini carts, and you know all the elements you for product pages, checkout pages, cart pages, etc. That will allow you to build, you know, a WooCommerce store. You will love the full WooCommerce. Blows everything else out of the water. Is one of our main focuses. Other features, we have a drag and drop menu builder. So if you want to build responsive, accessible, modern looking,
it is good. It's very good.
You can do both the WP menu element, which will display the menu from WordPress, or you can use the menu builder, which you put anything you want in those drop downs. You build menus like Dribble, Stripe, etc. So, yeah. If you look, I think Elementor has improved their performance relatively significantly. I'm not sure how much, so I defer to somebody who does those comparison videos. But we have div, Flexbox stuff isn't.
The secret is nobody gives a shit about it. They give a shit about Elementor's performance, but when you're on top, they can make incremental updates to their performance, and it doesn't give a shit. I mean, if you haven't learned by now that no one really cares, Elementor and Divi are at the top. You've said it. Visual Composer's at the top. All three of those are horrible in performance-wise compared to Oxygen, Bricks, or Visual Composer. And yet, you take and look at the ones that are growing, and it's Elementor, it's Divi, it's those type of builders. I mean, facts are facts. It is what it is. Sorry, dog. I mean, being a developer's cool and having fucking speed's fine, but there's a reason there's a fucking market for it. I'm not saying that's a good thing or a bad thing, but yeah, I'm just saying, like, people have gotten so used to it, they don't even fucking care anymore that their fucking builder's slow or garbage. They just keep eating it, and they're like, okay, we're okay with it. As long as it doesn't get worse, we're good.
Experimental. We have visual CSS class managers similar to Oxygen. It does have a few more advanced. You can write PHP code in the builder. It does have some nice advanced features that Elementor doesn't have. Elementor has some elements that we don't have though. Are we going to add those? Probably, if people want them, but we don't have them right now. We also don't have a design library. So if you need a design library, stick with Elementor. We'll have a design library eventually, but not during the alpha, and we're not going to have a big one on 1.0 either. So Oxygen's going to have a bigger design library, at least, you know, at the beginning. Elementor did a much bigger design library. As far as elements go, we have some elements that they don't have, but they have some elements that we don't have. So it just depends on what kind of site you're trying to build. You'll have to look at, you know, what elements we have, what elements they haven't decided, you know, what you want. How much different would everyone's reaction be if we had come out and said all this before just dropping it? Chalk that one up through the lessons learned file. When I make my third builder in a year.
Oh, Lord.
Auction is built on Angular, yes. Kyle, what a mess. Yeah. Yeah, Sean says, need to abandon the fucking lifetime deal system, LOL.
Agreed.
We can't. We made a commitment to existing customers. We're going to honor it as long as SoFly is still in business. And it's not.
They're not saying abandon the fucking lifetime deal. They're saying make it to where new people pay fucking monthly for it or whatever. I mean, do both. Jesus.
Not going anywhere because we've got, you know, other products. We're going to honor lifetime licenses.
So, back to your comment about WooCommerce, it just sparked a thought, which is
here it comes.
Felt like when the WooCommerce integration first came out, I was like, holy shit, this could be top notch, like Oxygen plus WooCommerce, let's go. And then it seemed like it pretty much just died on the vine from there, like it was never touched again. And I was curious, was there?
So let's mention this and listen real close once again. He's already said the repeater is shit, that he didn't really like the way the repeater was done. Listen.
Some technical limitation you guys ran up against that prevented any further, you know, oxygenization of the.
Honestly, it was the focus on all the other features people wanted, right? There's so many basic things we didn't have. We didn't have undo and redo for a long time. So we spent a lot of development resources building the stuff that would fix things that just piss people off.
Look, this guy even gets it. He's talking about abandoning LTD for new customers, not existing owners. I mean, Jesus Christ.
Rather than building new features. I wish Oxygen had a better architecture from the beginning and had more revenue from the beginning, so we would have been able to do both and ultimately build a sort of product that could have been switched to a subscription model. But yeah, we couldn't do it. It sucks.
So many of the same questions here regarding.
Is Oxygen profitable or are you lost? Oxygen makes money. So we can continue to pay everybody and continue to update it. In the current economic situation, sales have gone, kind of up and down.
This is interesting too. We get a back end to this. I don't know if he should have shared this or not, but I'm happy he did.
When we launched 3.0, we got a bit of a bump, and then Elementor had a bit of a snafu. I think it was their 3.0 at least.
Correct.
Bump. And then that kind of went down to a level slightly higher than 3.0. Now with 4.0, we'll see what it is. It's a little higher than it was before, but not by much. But the WordPress plugin sales in general are a little bit down. I think just due to the nature of the economy, with the whole COVID thing and all the stimulus money and everybody going remote. Website builders just went bananas. Like we could Shopify stock, Wix stock, etc. They went phew, and then went right back to this, and sales kind of came back to the baseline. So I think we're kind of coming back to the baseline. Who knows what's going to happen with the economy, though, right? That's hard to predict. So might recover, get better, sales go up, might get worse, sales go down. You never really know.
Did you guys trial at one point subscriptions for Oxygen? Didn't you quietly do it and then quietly revert it?
Yeah, we did, and it just nuked sales.
How long did you let it ride for?
I think a couple of weeks.
Okay.
Cost us a lot of money, and we tried higher prices too. We did it. I think it was an A/B test. We've done it for WPL import too for a couple of weeks, and it just hasn't worked. Although for WPL import, we're probably at the point that we could pull it off now. Not sure though. Might be something to be tried.
Once again, chat is literally blowing up. Like Stratos literally says, keep Oxygen LTD and add a yearly plan at $100 for those who want more support. I mean, honestly, that would be awesome if they did that. There would probably be a lot of people who would buy into it for faster support, because one of your main complaints is there's not enough people who answer the questions. People go fucking days without getting a question answered.
You go somewhere else and Oxygen finally dies out due to old technology. Ultimately, yes, every technology eventually dies off, right? Nobody's using punch cards to program computers anymore. Nobody's using Fortran. People aren't building websites using CGI scripts. Nobody's writing Perl scripts. Any, CMS built on Perl doesn't exist. The whole ASP.NET thing, enterprise, it's not mainstream. So yeah, when technology dies, it dies. But it dies when, ultimately people stop using it. So that's, years and years and years down the line. WordPress will die one day too, right? When WordPress dies, Oxygen will definitely die. Will it die before WordPress dies? I don't know. It's possible. It doesn't feel warm and fuzzy. No, I'm a fuzzy dude, but agreed organisms are.
Somebody asked earlier, I forget what the exact wording of the question was, but they were like, can we expect a little bit less of a brash Lewis this time around?
Yeah, probably. With Oxygen, I really wanted to differentiate because a lot of Oxygen is for people who hated mainstream visual builders, right? It was like, there are these builders like Elementor and Visual Composer and Divi, and a lot of developers they really didn't like them for various reasons. And it wasn't just the performance and the div section. It was like, I can't use a div, where are the classes, it's not easy to write code, I could just build the whole site, not use a theme, but I have to use a theme. There are a lot of reasons why advanced people didn't like mainstream visual builders, even though they were widely popular. A lot of our marketing is to get people like that to realize Oxygen isn't just another typical visual builder. Breakdance is. Breakdance is a mainstream visual builder. It just has some kick-ass features.
And how did that work out for you? Because you're about to mention that too.
You're like a lot easier for various things. Better elements, WooCommerce, drag and drop menu builder, kick-ass form integrations, and a number of cool kick-ass features.
It's such a damn shame that all that stuff couldn't have just been implemented in Oxygen.
I wish we could have just rewrote.
That's what most of the community's been saying. If it was just in fucking Oxygen, it would have been so much better.
Oxygen View. The original intent when I started coding this was actually to be Oxygen 4.0, but it became quickly apparent there's absolutely no way to do this without totally destroying Oxygen 3.x.
All you had to do was build a magic conversion tool, dude. That's it.
Well, yeah, exactly. That's what we looked into, and you just can't do it, right? The elements, they have different, the shape of the data is different. Like the properties available on the elements, it's not the same. You can't use divs in the root with Breakdance, so what are we going to do? Every given site that uses divs in the root doesn't work. What about people who use elements we don't have, like Superbox or a number of other ones? Our pricing table is better, but it's also different in Breakdance. Right? Breakdance is more about the elements, less about the whole div and class situation. What are we going to do? Break people's pricing tables, but make them kind of sort of look like they did before? I mean, it'd be years of engineering effort, too.
So on the topic of engineering questions, there's two things that popped into mind. I saw one was that if you disable Breakdance, then it dumps out just raw HTML, so your page should still look vaguely similar. Is that right?
Sorry, say that one again. I was reading the chat comments. I shouldn't do that.
It's extremely tough. Yeah. So there was two things. One of them was if you disable Breakdance after you built content and it dumps out HTML onto your page.
Yep. So Kyle says this, and this is a really good point. I think Oxygen users feel like you guys aren't enough, so we got to go chase this thing. 100%. There's no way the community doesn't feel like that. Oh, wah, you millennial feelings, but at the end of the day, they're still your fucking customers.
So does it still look as it did before?
No, it doesn't look the same. You keep your content, but not your styles.
So it's not going to be wrapped in short codes and bullshit like that?
No, it doesn't use short. There's no short codes except for dynamic data and great data and Breakdance. It doesn't use short codes under the hood. It's all JSON under the hood. If you want to leave Breakdance, what you do is you put use default editor, and it'll render the page to like HTML and strip out the nonsense like HTML tags. So you won't end up with a bunch of divs either. You just get your content, your images, your video URLs. So you have like your content, you can like copy and paste it or whatever else you're using.
Okay.
Design though, totally gone. All CSS gone.
Got it.
Just a way to get away from the one-time fees of Oxygen. Just be honest with it. Well, in a way, it is, right? We want to have a product that we can charge a subscription for and build all these great features. We can never do it with Oxygen. and there was no way to rewrite Oxygen.
No, you actually could have done it. You can do whatever the fuck you want. Just like people have been saying in the fucking Oxygen community, it's your money, it's your development, it's your everything. You know that Oxygen's a failing product. You know that the market is too small. You say it in this video that it's too small. And so I'm more inclined to believe like Kyle thinks, where you say, look, the market's just too small. It wasn't enough, and we're not happy with it, and it is what it is. I mean, call it for what it is, you know? Call it.
Like this. I mean, if we could have done it, we would have rewrote an Oxygen like this, included lifetime access, and then for the existing customers, and then, you know, charge new customers subscription price. But from an engineering standpoint, we couldn't do it. Basically, we got a good deal on the domain, that's why it's called Breakdance. I know 42 grand is a good deal, but yes, that's ultimately why we picked the name. How extendable will Breakdance be with the developer API? I don't really know. I don't know yet. It depends on what people request and who does get built. By the time we build it, of course, there's, you know, a new list of features that we got to build. So, right, we didn't used to have repeaters. Everyone's like, I would never use Elementor, I would only use Oxygen. Now we have repeaters. I'm never fucking using Breakdance. No repeaters? What the hell? So, and then you add repeater functionality, and it's like, we need to support users on repeaters. Well, shit, we need to add repeaters. But okay, we need to request repeaters. Go request it, get it uploaded, and if it gets enough votes, we can build it and build it. Lifetimes will build the number of users the way we did in Elementor, and therefore you get more first-time buyers. Yeah, that's definitely true. Y'all remember the lifetime license, though? I don't recall. I don't think so. We're not doing it.
They never did a lifetime license.
For the scale we want to take this thing, we don't think it makes economic sense. We learned our lesson from Oxygen.
It doesn't make economic sense to have two builders with the same company. Nobody's done that yet. Maybe, no, wait, maybe I'm wrong there. Let me back that off, because I think WP Bakery did that, or something along that, because Visual Composer and WP Bakery were exactly the same at one point in time, or they were like, I don't know, it got fucking confusing with them too. Go look up that shit.
How do you plan to retain 30,000 Oxygen customers? What do you mean retain them?
Well, because they're going to fucking leave. You're going to have people leave after this shit.
They already bought it. It's a lifetime license.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean they have to stay and continue buying your shit. Like, that's part of the issue. Once you burn people, maybe you do say sale of V, but that's every one is a sale that you can't have.
We plan to continue getting new customers, but we don't have to do anything to retain existing customers. We're not going to charge anything else. Oxygen has as much life it has Byte, and it can't comment on politics, but what evidence do you have to changing Oxygen to a subscription?
Funny you mentioned about politics, because that's exactly what the fucking community feels like. It feels like Republican versus Democrat right now in the community. It does. It feels like you got one side that says that they're right and the other side that says that they're right. And at the end of the day, nobody's really right. It is what it is. Both sides have valid points. It's just the way things work. But man, if you're one way or the other, the community comes out against you.
Model wouldn't work for new users. Well, every time we have tried, I shouldn't say every time, we tried once, it cut sales by like 50%. So, you know, that just kills the business. And then what kind of renewal rate are we going to see, right? We need to wait 2 years for, assuming 100% renewal rate, to get back to the same level of revenue. So the economics just don't make sense. Why not use the same pricing to new Oxygen stuff? Yeah, same thing. I don't see the value in putting break the name opener as a joke about how it breaks. Yeah, I mean, people call Oxygen carbon monoxide. Maybe it'll be about 3 and it won't break. These WooCommerce features alone are why we want feature creating Breakdance with Oxygen. Just make Breakdance the B2 product. I want amazing WooCommerce and repeaters. Go suggest it. If there are enough people that want it, it might get built. Or go tell the Bricks guy to do better WooCommerce. Any plan of integration with MetaBox? Maybe. Advanced custom fields was changed to lifetime deal to subscription. It was. That is a well-loved product used on millions of sites, and it's necessary for a lot of users. And because there are so many builders and other tools to integrate with it, you almost have to buy it. You don't have a choice. If we could force people to buy Oxygen and charge them a subscription price, we would. But people have choice. we're competing with other builders that offer like.
You absolutely are, which is why Breakdance is going to hit a fucking brick wall, because you're another builder on the market, and you're marketing to what? Because we want to be an Elementor Me Too? Don't you think that marketing's kind of fucked from the beginning?
Deals such as Breezy, such as Bricks, or I'm sure others didn't have so lifetime deals. And they have a library too. It would have been better involved in me early on instead of developing a secret with years and having these discussions now. Maybe not. I think we would have got reinvented too. So Breakdance is better for WooCommerce builds than Oxygen. Yes, I think so. The incentive for Elementor targeted users.
Let me tell you why I think he didn't tell the community early. He didn't tell the community early because he knew that this shit was going to happen. And so he knows that partially from Oxygen, their sales are going to hurt from this, regardless of whatever they say. They're going to lose sales. You're not going to not lose sales. They also are probably going to lose customers, although they're lifetime customers. So like he said, it doesn't make any sense. You've already paid for it. They don't give a shit if it becomes shelfware. So, but you're going to lose sales from this. Just pointing that out.
Breakdance is less slow. And better WooCommerce, but non-technical users want to understand why that was necessary. They will go to the tool which has the best rep, which is Elementor. Yeah, I mean, we have years ahead of us to build things, do marketing, etc.
And by that time, Elementor will have surpassed you, and it won't even give them, you won't be a shit blink in their eye, so it won't even make a difference. If you would have dumped the resources into Oxygen, which is the community's been saying, then it would have been a lot further along, and it could have been a developer that could have competed. You won some contest where people were fucking asking, like, what's the best alternative builder? And fucking Oxygen was it. Now they're going to turn this shit around and they're going to be like, well, I mean, it was, but now it may turn into fucking bricks.
We plan integration with MetaBoss. Well, we get that question a lot, so maybe we do go up this. It gets up, we'll do it.
People love MetaBox because it's got an LTD and ACF doesn't.
Oh, fuck me. Then no, fuck MetaBox. We're not doing it. Should one be concerned keeping websites off? Don't take that too seriously. You might do it. Go for it. Should one be concerned? You guys, some of you want the lifetime deals. Then you want to complain about the fallout from a lifetime deal when inevitably it can't last forever.
It can't. So you do a very, very fucking short lifetime deal, and you let the fucking money roll in right from the beginning. Hey, Breakdance is a lifetime deal for fucking 72 hours, and after that, it's never coming back again. We're not doing this Brizzy shit. It's never coming back again, and we're never fucking doing it again. That's how you do a fucking lifetime deal. Simple as that, and watch the money pour in and do whatever the fuck you want with it.
Number of features the developer can build. You can't have the best of all worlds, so you got to pick a camp. Maybe we should build the MetaBox integration or Oxygen for the LTD users. So what about that? I think it's getting close to the top of that list now. Should one be concerned keeping websites on Oxygen for the future? Will it still be stable or going for lazy? No, we're continuing to update it and maintain it. We're not going to break backwards compatibility. If other plugins release any updates to break Oxygen, we just release an update to fix it. Yeah, absolutely not. You can keep using Oxygen. We continue to use Oxygen. We use it on wpbuilderhelper.com, and we're not going to switch that. Let us vote on the name. Nope, not unless you pay for the domain name. If you want to meet with Divi in the builder, spend some sweet tech money on designer. We are going to have a good design library.
That's because they have Super Mike. I have no doubt that he's going to contribute to the designs.
Eventually, not yet though. Elementor has WooEnter and ShopEd. Elementor Power is in the third-party apps. You're right. Breakdance certainly does not have the third-party element ecosystem that Elementor does, and it won't for a while. I would like to see a speed test between Breakdance and Elementor. Stay tuned. Why is Oxygen bad at WooCommerce? I hope so. I think the third-party does that speed test, and I'm sure it will happen eventually. It's probably not going to come from us.
You just opened up a library of content for me, so I appreciate you.
Sweet. Well, I'll be back whenever you want to have me. Why is Oxygen bad at WooCommerce? I wouldn't say it's bad. Well, you know what? Let the people who have complaints about Oxygen tell you the shortcomings of Oxygen.
That's my point. So you already shit on WooCommerce. There we go.
With WooCommerce. You can certainly build WooCommerce websites with it. It has WooCommerce elements, but there are people who want more features that it doesn't necessarily have. Any plans for integration with Breakdance? Likely. If you take the Oxygen from users to Breakdance, we're not taking Oxygen from users. We're not changing Oxygen at all. We're going to continue to run it exactly the same way we have. Oxygen is mainly an LTD community. Why do you think Breakdance will survive without an LTD community? Well, it will survive because people who want to pay us money every month, like they do for most WordPress plugins, like Elementor and Divi and advanced custom fields and add-ons for WooCommerce, etc., they get revenue every year because they keep developing it. Once you buy a lifetime deal, the point is to use you as reputation and word of mouth to get future customers. But if there's nothing else to sell you, all the revenue is coming from the additional customers.
But I'm going to be honest with you. You're going to need to do that with this because there's not going to be a whole bunch of people who want to buy it. The way that you can counter that also is by making the lifetime deal expensive. Some people make it $4.99, some people make it $5.99, some people make it $6.99. If you're charging $150 a year, okay, and you assume that the average customer is going to pay 2, 3, 4 years or whatever it is, then you take that money and you say, okay, we charge $4.99 for it. We're getting $500. That's 3 years minimum out of every person who buys a lifetime license. And that's 3 years that we might not have gotten if they didn't choose to do it. That's the way you do an LTD, and they would probably buy it from you. But don't listen to me. No one knows anything about marketing.
All the features we build are based on what we think people want. Future customers. Of course, we take your feedback as existing customers into account to decide what to build because you have experience with the product, you know the shortcomings, you know what people want, you know what we'll be able to market. But ultimately, every lifetime deal, all the revenue is from the new customers, not the existing customers. Should we name the builder Dancy Pants? I could probably get that domain name for less than 42 grand, so maybe.
Go ahead. I was just going to say we're getting a bunch of repeat questions, so I was going to put a call out for people to ask different questions. We're getting a bunch of the things that Lewis has already answered earlier in the stream, so you may have to go backward and watch this later.
Why are third-party plugin devs able to easily address common pain points in Oxygen that it takes forever Oxygen to address? We get bug reports constantly from people using these third-party add-ons that break something. So anyone can release an add-on. For features we know we can build, I'm seeing an ad on the screen.
Let's go.
All right, skip the ad.
I didn't put that there for the record.
Yeah. Could we do an open roadmap for Oxygen? Maybe, but I don't think it makes economic sense for some lifetime licenses. We don't want people to buy Oxygen for what it might be in the future.
Wait, what did... This is definitely a big lesson on why LTDs are terrible. I've been saying that the entire time. That's a good point.
I appreciate the sensible amount of menus. Will this be a general focus? Yes. So the LTD is what is taking Oxygen. The subscription model isn't feasible. But the Breakdance, LTD is what, so the LTD is what's tanking Oxygen. I wouldn't say tanking is what's limiting it.
Here you go. Listen close.
Characterize as tanking, we improve it with new releases periodically. It is better today than it ever was in the past. You just wanted to get better even faster. But yes, the lifetime deal is limiting there. But also, it's not just a lifetime deal.
Here it is.
The market for Oxygen
the market
is small. It's not mainstream enough. If there were twice as many people like you who wanted an advanced builder like Oxygen, then we could...
But they don't want an advanced builder. They want fucking Divi and Elementor. That's why Oxygen's never done it. But the problem is that that's what your marketing platform was. So now you're building another page builder so that you can be a Me Too product? Let's see how quick that works out.
Either do a subscription model or we could have twice as much revenue and we could pay all the bills. But the market just isn't big enough to support that. So, you know, that's the situation we're in. We can only do what the market's willing to pay for. I thought we found where it had been sold by basically...
So I'm not going to go any further in here. There's no point in going any further. There's more that's to this, but let's just stop right here for real quick. So I've recorded this ending at this point so many times that it's a little bit pathetic because there's so much going on, and I went ham on the first recording, and then there were other recordings following it that I didn't think, got everything right. And so at the end of the day, here's what my thoughts are with Breakdance and Oxygen, and it's a total thought process. Number one, I think Lewis has 100% definitely thinks that Oxygen is pushed into a corner. There's a lot of things that he said during this video that indicates that. The fact that it's a small market. That includes all the people who love Oxygen. Whether you're someone who is very passionate about it and has been putting down everybody who's questioned it, or you're someone who's questioning it. There's a wide range, as he said, of people who love Oxygen. Number two, the architecture that it's built on is, like he said, it's old architecture. And so I think one of the reasons he's getting hyped for Breakdance is because of the fact that it's old architecture and he's working with something new, something that's faster, that's speedier. That's going to work both against Oxygen and for Oxygen. It's going to work against it because Oxygen obviously already has, Oxygen is already moving at a slow pace, right? That's one of the reasons it's working against it. It's already moving at a slow pace, but Vue is going to make it, Breakdance move at a faster pace. And I think when people start seeing that, regardless of whether they understand the technology or not, I think they're going to get confused, and I think they're most likely going to say something along the lines of, why isn't Oxygen moving faster? Oh, it would if you put resources into it. So that's going to be a fighting battle. The third thing is going to be the fact that the marketing itself of Breakdance, it's a product that doesn't really fit in anywhere. I know that I've talked about a lot of things in this video, but one of the things that is by far the most important thing that I talk about is the 10 laws of immutable marketing. It's one of the greatest books ever known, and it literally describes everything that's going wrong with Breakdance and Oxygen to a T. Oxygen has already developed a marketing share in the minds of its users where it is the developer's builder. That is the title of Oxygen. That's what it is. So by taking and bringing in Breakdance, you can say, yeah, great, we're targeting another segment of the market, but the market can only split so many times before it gets tiresome, and there's already too many page builders on it. Do I think there's a place for Breakdance? Yes, but I think there's more of a place for Breakdance if it takes over Oxygen and becomes Oxygen, which goes back to kind of my fourth thought. It's already becoming Oxygen, because one of the things he says over and over and over again in the video is no repeater, no repeater, no repeater. And then one of the most upvoted comments is the fucking repeater. That should tell you right there that basically the Oxygen community is going to take it, and whether you want it or not, they're going to mold it into Oxygen. They're going to take the features out of Oxygen that they want, and they're going to mold it into Breakdance. And for some people, it's not going to matter because you're still going to continue to use Oxygen. And for other people who are more into Breakdance and more into the drag and drop, it is going to matter for them. But there's another part in here where I think that Oxygen's up against so many different battles, right? You've got the battle with Oxygen, the battle with Breakdance itself and the funding. You've got the number of page builders right now that are on the market that are already established and already have decent features. You've got time behind your belt that you have to get in, that you have to put in to prove to people that it's going to be a good builder, which he did say in the video that he was going to have to prove that. All of those factors are working against Breakdance and not for it. It's working against it. So honestly, what it boils down to is I think that there's three things that could possibly happen. One is the most probably logical and probably what will happen. Nothing happens. That is, Oxygen continues to exist and Breakdance continues to exist. Nothing takes place over the next couple of years, and it doesn't matter. Both products live in existence with one another. That is the most feasible, honestly, option. There's also two other options, which are a little bit sadder, but they are the truth. That is that Breakdance succeed, Oxygen fails, in which case Oxygen goes to the community, like Lewis said, if he really does that. And who knows what happens to Oxygen then. If the community takes a hold of it, they might just run with it and do some amazing things with it. There's also that Breakdance fails because it doesn't find a market, and Oxygen continues to succeed, in which case, does he dump more money into Oxygen or take those developers and switch them over to Oxygen? That's all up in the air, and it's all going to be determined by Lewis. Lewis is going to have to be the one that determines when the project fails or when it sunsets. I'm sure he'll keep it limping along as he can, but I think that at this point in his brain, it's not where he wants it to be. I don't think Oxygen's nearly as popular as he wants it to be. And I think, like he said, he chose a market segment that is, while is very passionate and is full of people who are skilled developers and great at what they do, it's a smaller market segment. And I think he's trying to cater to more of the, as the people in Oxygen would call them, normies, the people who don't want to take and do that. But I think it also comes down to the fact that people are looking for an option that includes the best of both worlds. I think that, honestly, there's a lot of people, including someone like myself, where I do like Breakdance. I like it a lot. I like what I've seen so far, and I think it's really cool, and I would pay for it. It looks like a really cool builder, and he's already started on the road to making it great. But I think there's also a number of people who say, well, no, I only want Oxygen. I only want to build with Oxygen, and that's it. And it's like, that's fine. You can do that. But like Lewis said, eventually it's going to become legacy, and it's not going to matter. It's just not. You can keep building with it for the rest of your life, I'm pretty sure, if you really wanted to. But without security patches and things like that, you could run into a lot of problems later on down the road. But, it is what it is. So what do I think of all of this, and how do I feel? I'm somewhat exactly like Permaslug Jonathan. Jonathan just wrote a post. I will take and link it down below or link it up above, one of the two. And he basically says in that post that, hey, Oxygen, it's been fun, but you've kind of opened my eyes to this. And he really felt backstabbed. And that's even after that video. I think a lot of people do, and I don't think that we should come out against them. I think as a community, if you're going to be part of the Oxygen community, we need to have both sides sit down. We need to have both the good and the bad. We need to have the people who oppose it and are for it, and all of that needs to be taken into account. But I think that at the end of the day, it's up to Lewis. He just needs to make a decision. Part of the problem that's happening today is because you dip your toe in one pool and then you dip your toe in another pool, and you can't do that. You got to kind of go all in. That's one of the reasons why Elementor's done so well and Divi's done so well. They basically give no shit about the Oxygen community. They don't care that we exist. They wouldn't make a difference if we weren't around. It would just be another community. Every time a new page builder comes on the market, they don't care. I doubt it puts even a blimp on their radar. So that's kind of where I stand with everything. I hope I made that clear. I know I was super aggressive in this video, and that's because I'm super passionate about page builders, especially one that was on the right track, such as Oxygen. And I definitely think today, after this point, a lot more people are going to Bricks. All right? Deuce.